So this video probably isn't really necessary, but I'm making it just to make sure that you understand when you look at a particular picture, what kind of function that you're looking at. So hopefully you already know this page because we've spent a lot of time on these in this class and in MA 101. But a constant function like y equals 2, which is what this function is down here, is called a constant because there is no variable of x. It's just y equals 2. Whereas a linear function, which we have spent so much time on just recently, so hopefully you got that one, y equals mx plus b, or f of x equals mx plus b, that is linear. If you've got an x squared, and that could include, plus some value for x, plus some value, etc. That's a quadratic function. So all of this stuff is going to be transformations, which we'll talk about. And then you have a cubic function. So the cubic function looks just like a parabola, but takes the other side of the parabola and goes down onto the third quadrant. So those are the four most basic, and then we have four more that maybe aren't quite as familiar to you. That is the square root function. And the square root function is like a parabola, except turned on its side. And there's no negative side down here. The part I drew in green doesn't exist because we don't want our square root. We can't take the square root of a negative number, and that is why the part below isn't there. Whereas a cubed root can be, obviously, a negative number, and so it took what would have been the parabola here and flipped it over to the other side across the y-axis. Then we have the absolute value function, which is like a linear function, except because it can only be positive, it flipped it over the x-axis. And then we have the reciprocal function, which is 1 over x, which, remember, when we're dividing by a very small number, our answer would be very large, which is why this goes on forever. And when we're dividing by a larger and larger number, our number would be very small, which is why this goes on forever.